What's going on, everybody? It is Tuesday now, afternoon. Got the two trucks done today. I've gone ahead and tacked two braces in here for now. Two 13.5s, notch to notch. They're tacked in place. And then now we're working on the tube that comes from here. It's gonna come up a 90 into this solid welded one. And that's gonna act as our tire bump. So if someone hits me from behind or gives me a push or a nudge to get out of the way, it doesn't push the tire into the fuel tank. It'll push it into that tube, making it out of 095 wall, 1 3/4. Let's use the tube bender again. All right, got those two things tacked in place now. So now we actually have a tire basket. Now I'm just trying to think through of how I want to support all of this, because right now it's pretty much resting all on that area where the clamp is. It does have the supports that come up right here, but it's still pivoting. So I'm trying to look at this and figure out how to do arms that come from down here forward or something. I don't know, kind of thinking about this as I go. And I've also got to think about the bump stops and how I'm going to, not how I'm going to mount them, but how I'm going to support them on their up travel, because that's another thing that will be bumping against that one single point. So here you go, it's a little bit better video. As you can see, this whole tire carrier right now is pretty much pivoting on like this one axis right here. So, fun times. What's up, everybody? It is now Wednesday, last day of the week here, because tomorrow is Thanksgiving. Thinking about this all night. I have a plan on how to get the back of this stiffened up and also help me with the bump stops and all that stuff. So here's what I've thought, and here's what we're doing. All right, so we can't come up, but we can go down. So from roughly this point right here, I'm gonna come down to right there. If you look to the side, you can see why that makes sense. We'll come from there into there with 1.5 inch on 120 wall, as well as we'll hit there as well, and that will support it enough to not be a problem. And then the bump stop can, one of these here. This is the bump stop with the can. It'll live in line with the shock, like right there. We can come up from it, this up, this over here. I'm gonna set it down, and then we'll come from the top of that can up into here. So with that going to the bottom of this corner down here, there, the bump stop pushing up into here because you have your weight of your tire, and then also as well as that one that comes up this way pushing into it, and then obviously all of that interlocked together. We will not have a problem here. The reason I'm saying we're not gonna have a problem there is we just go over my little mini truck here that I built a while ago. And go to the other side so you can see a little better. Kind of the same setup. So shocks back here, vertical, right? So this is the shear point for the whole tire carrier. But what we have is just a straight, two straights that come into this vertical, kind of doing the same thing, but it'll be better supported on the race truck than right here, because this is technically just pushing into the middle of this tube. And then we also don't have bump stops back here to stiffen that up as well. And this is done perfectly fine. It's still straight as an arrow. So it's fine. This will be pretty much the same thing, plus a lot more. Let's get at it. All right, fast forward here. I've got those tacked in on both sides, and I've started the fuel tank holder. So as you guys saw a few videos ago, this thing was made. It keeps the tank from sliding left and right. What we need is a way to hold the tank down. So what I'm thinking is we make something kind of like our radiator holder, where it pivots and then it gets locked tight by a nut. But we have to do it backwards. We can't have the pivot side on the front. It needs to be on the back, because the tank is skinnier on the bottom than it is the top. And I'm afraid, even with the rear like locked in place, ooh, that's still hot. With it locked in place, if you start pushing or pulling down on this, I'm afraid the tank's gonna bend down. Not a huge issue, because it has a contact pad right here, so this will get a big thing of rubber on it, so it's pushing down on the corner right there, which isn't a big deal. But I think what I'm going to do is make this side the pivot side, and then this side right here will have a way to bolt down so it clamps the rear. Because when you push down on the rear of this, if you notice the front, or the push down on the front of the tank, the rear wants to rise up. So if we could keep that from happening, and it's a big foam pad on the bottom too, then it should wedge it in place, and that'll also keep it sliding from front to back and left to right, because it's fully boxed around the whole tank. So let me fire up the computer, do some CAD work, and let's cut some stuff out of the plasma cutter today. Yeah. All right, it is lunchtime. Got the tank hold down. I don't know what else to call it. The thing that holds the fuel tank in place from going up, down, left, right, forward, back. Let me show you that. There we go. It's just tacked in place, because I have to take literally the whole rear apart to get the tank out. So we just tacked it for now. We've got other stuff to do. I don't feel like taking all of this stuff out in and out 20 times. So it's just tacked in place for now. That is the rear. As I said, it just pivots. I pushed down on the tank before I tacked it in place, so that works. And then got this right here. So let me get the clamp here out of the way. Got a piece that comes off the frame, up and over, little triangle gusset on it, and then we have this big flat guy right here that bolts down with a triangle gusset. I've got 2 washers in it right now, just to give myself room to squish. Plus, if you think about it, this is gonna get foam on both sides, as well as foam underneath the tank, in between this tube here and the tank. So this gap right here will open up more, but I did washers just to make sure. So think about it, as you bolt it down, it squeezes tight. There you go. Made it out of 3/16 for everything. And that is pretty much copied and mirrored over to the passenger side as well. There you go. And there you go. So one more job, pretty much done, minus full welding, but the full rear is the same way. So that eliminates one more thing off the project. I think next is, I do have 2 bins to cap those off, but I'm not gonna put those things in, I don't think, yet. I'm waiting on Speed Strap, which is a child company of PRP seats because we are a PRP seats dealer, so we get a discount on speed straps. I've ordered a Y strap for this thing, so we'll slide the tire in, do that, but those don't get here until next week sometime. And I think since it's lunchtime, we're gonna go to lunch, and then I'm gonna start looking at the bump stops. So, see you in a minute. All right, so bump stop time. This is what I'm thinking. It'll work. I can make it look good. So let me show you what I have here. Hydro bump there. I've got it taped up just for now. The bump plate, we'll call it, or the pad, will be that high, just because I don't want this sitting down off the frame too much, because then my leg to support it will be like stupid long. Plus, where it's contacting the little corner right there, I can just tack that really quick and it won't go anywhere. But it's in line with the shock, as you can see. I know what you're thinking. It's like, well, this is fully bumped and this is fully bumped. That's not right. We can just make this pad another like ½ inch taller when the time comes. So that's not a problem. And then it'll be there. We'll make a tube gusset that comes up from there to here to support that wobbling left and right. We will obviously make something that comes up and ties it in better than there, like a little triangle plate or something. And then to keep it from shifting forward and backwards, we're gonna come off this little pocket created by the plates here and then come down to the tube. That should support it really good. And then we can also, just saw this, fire up the plasma and make a plate that fills in this whole area right here. So it will be mounted very solid. And then for the bump plate, most guys just make a block boom, thinking I've got a nice fancy plasma table and a computer and I know how to use some CAD. We can make a cool bump plate that has holes kind of like the axle truss here that comes up and over and you can see through them, and it might even provide a nice tie down point for when this thing gets strapped down to the trailer. So let me start by, I'm liking that location. Bring the welder in here very carefully and tack that corner together so it doesn't move on me. And then after that, we'll make sure it's level with the angle finder. And then I think the first thing I'm gonna do is make the plate right here, just so we can get it solid and I can make that without ever have to touch anything. And we can tack it in place, boom, there. And then we'll start making the tubes and stuff from that. So, plan, let's go. What's up, everybody? Hope everybody had a good Thanksgiving. It is Friday morning, early here, trying to get some stuff done before we have to go to the in-laws for Thanksgiving over there. This has bothered me all Thanksgiving, I guess call it break, of what I did Wednesday afternoon. Just not super happy with it. I just don't know why, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but I'm just not happy with it. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Let me figure this out. Let me show you what I've got going on here. So I have both bump stop cans. Don't mind this. I just dropped it down so I could weld and not be heating up the bump stop itself. And I can't get it out unless I drop the axle, so it works. But I made these brackets on the plasma table. They kind of work. They're not bad. Not super upset with them. I just don't like them on their own. So I was planning on coming and cutting them off as soon as I got here this morning, but now that I'm actually looking at them again, they're not horrible. But what I'm like kind of stressing out about is how to get all the other bracing. So obviously they hit when the axle comes up and you're applying all this force up through the rear part of the tire cage here. All this part of the rear tire cage minus this piece right here and this piece is all 0.95 wall. as versus the rest of the cage is 120 wall. Just because we're trying to keep the weight down, I probably saved, I don't know, 3 to 5 pounds by going 95 wall. All this 1.5 inch stuff is 120 wall there and all this. So that's good. But the only thing I can think of doing, which would make sense to me, is come from the inside of this pocket right here, because the only reason I made this was just to tie in more back here. Come in on the inside of this pocket and run a 120 wall 1.75 inch down to like half of the bump cup here. Do one there, and that would keep it from twisting front to back. And then the only other thing I can think of doing to keep this thing from bumping and moving left or right would be tie in up here, which is cool, but the problem is my tube is offset. So how is that gonna look? I know I'm being kind of picky here. I just want it to look good at the same time. I mean, I guess there's nothing wrong if it came up from there. My plan when I got in this morning, because I brought my laptop so I could draw some programs up, was take some 1/4 inch plate and make a huge triangle with a speed hole in the middle. And that would brace it from going left to right. I don't see anything really wrong with that. There's just not a lot of flat plate back here, which there is going to be. There's going to be corner gussets everywhere, and especially in here and then in here. So just the first corner gusset, I just don't know what to do. I don't know if I want to make a tube or if I want to cut out a triangle. Let me get some tape, make a triangle first out of tape, and stand back and see what it looks like. I'll be right back. I mean, that doesn't look horrible, right? And this thing is sitting at ride height. Doesn't look horrible. I'm not too upset with that. Let me get a tube and tape a tube on the other side. All right, there we go. It's got a piece of hot rolled tube that I found in the scrap bin. Tube or plate? Obviously, the black on the plate would be cut out. Don't know. They're both gonna serve the same purpose. That's what sucks. I mean, if I think about it, that plate's just gonna be a single plane, because it'll just be a piece of 1/4 inch right here. So it's not doing a ton of front to back prevention, just only in and out, which we have that one for, maybe another one back here. But this tube, obviously it's clamped on that, but if it's from there to there, yes, it's a little angled, but that provides only in and out, but kind of twisting too. I don't know what to do here. Probably way overthinking this one little thing. I just got to be happy with it. I'm leaning towards tube. What do you guys think? I'm not going to do anything until I think about this, but yeah, tube or plate? Let me know. All right, made an executive decision after looking at this for a second. Went with tube. It just looks better. I cut a actual triangle out of some 1/4 inch, set it up there. Just didn't like the way it looked. Yeah, so that's what we have. Got them tacked in both places. And then what we'll also do is we will run a tube that strings off of this, like I was saying before, ties into here, comes down, grabs into there, and that'll be the main up force that takes it, ties it into literally the rest of the cage, as well as it forcing up through here. And then we will run a tube off of it back to here, and then probably one eventually from here to here. This will be out of 120 wall. We'll do 9.5 and 9.5. And then that'll also give us a spot right here to side. So any potential sponsors, wink, wink, that want that spot, reach out to us. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm gonna put there. I was thinking it'd be cool to throw like the Ivan Stewart yellow, orange, red on the back corner of this thing, in that spot. So, but yeah, I think that's it for me. We're kind of getting ready to go hit some in-law Thanksgiving stuff, and then there's a concert tonight. My tattoo artist, Old Heavy Hands band, it plays tonight locally, so we're gonna go see them. And yeah, I think that's gonna be it for this video. Until Monday morning. See you guys. Bye.